Ladies and gentlemen of Hashtag Nation, welcome back once again. My cup runneth over, and so did last episode. You know, when Paul and I get to talking about rosters, things get a little bit crazy. So what we're going to do is we decided to split it up. We did the defense. If you want, it's going to be up in the corner somewhere over there. Who knows?
I love how he points, but he never links the episodes. That's the part of the episode that he'll cut out in post-production and then just not do it. And I'll go back and watch like our episodes and be like, oh, Mario referenced this. No, he didn't. He just cut that part out.
I can't find it.
Let me go back to this episode. Oh my God, it was in 2017.
Like, I'm lazy, Paul. I'm lazy. You know this.
Hey, we hit our 10 year. We're at the 10 anniversary, aren't we?
We are. It's 10 years. 10 years. What started off with the Sam Adams is morphed into this beautiful thing that we have here, Paul.
That's it.
Our little baby. For those of you that don't know, Paul and I, this is our 10th season of covering the Bills. So we're having a lot of fun doing it.
But thank you for joining the show, everybody.
Absolutely, all the time.
Yeah. So we talked about the defense last episode, but now it's time to talk about the offense. And really, when Mario and I looked at it, we're just going to kind of keep things easy. We kept 25 defensive players in the defensive episode. I think it's probably fair because you need to keep a punter, a kicker, and a long snapper. Well, at least that's in theory. You got to keep those three guys.
That brings us to
Reed
28.
didn't make it last year. The long snapper didn't make it last year. The Bills went without a long snapper at the 53-man roster cut and then signed Reed the next day. And we could talk about why that's a thing. Just as a reminder, we did cover it in the defensive episode, but we could talk about it again here. Let's keep 25 offensive players, right?
We got it.
That's it. I think that's what we got to do right now. 25. Yeah. So, well, you're the math guy. 23 plus 28, 53. Let's go, baby. That checks out.
It's my off season, Paul. I don't start working until September.
First off, can we chuckle about the Our Lads depth chart with Jake Kumaro being the second guy behind Stephon Diggs? Like,
who else are you going to put there?
I get it, right? I get it. It's just funny to me, right?
It's just funny to me. If you guys have not been to the Our Lads depth chart, it's actually a pretty nice thing. You know, everything in green are all the rookies. Anybody that's in all caps are the players that are over 30.
Right.
Anyone that is beneath Josh Allen will not play. So anything else you guys have? Again, he's not listening to me. This is great.
It's true.
Point is this. So it's funny too, because we did the defensive episode. We found that, okay, in our starting rotation, only 4 guys were over 30. If we look at this offensive rotation, Saffold and Morse are the only 2 guys you have that are over 30 on this offense, which I found to be the first thing that stood out to me. It's amazing. And you're like, wow, that's how young and explosive this offense is. So when we're looking at it, we didn't disagree on the defensive episode when we talked about the first 2 columns. If you guys want to go check that out. But if we're looking here, I already see one that we're going to have a little bit of a disagreement on. Paul, why don't you like Deion Dawkins?
Listen, man, for the money, I can't complain about Deion Dawkins anymore.
Nope.
I just can't complain about Deion Dawkins anymore. But hey, listen, if you're looking to pick up a home in Arizona, maybe something you want to buy, maybe something you want to own and have as an income property, Sean's the guy to call. MrRogersHomes.com. Sean is your wealth management expert, and I wish I could pick up the phone. A little busy right now, right? So just because I couldn't pick up for Sean doesn't mean that you can't pick up the phone and give him a call. So go ahead and do that for Sean. We would very much appreciate it. Send him hashtags. Tell him hashtag sent him. Sent you.
Brochure is in the description of this video, guys. Make sure you do that. After you guys hit the like and subscribe button, make sure you hit that brochure. Paul, we're going to have some disagreements on this first line. I do. I have 2.
Really?
I have 2 disagreements. Yes.
Okay. All right. So talk to me.
Okay. Obviously, Diggs, Davis is fine. I'm going to swap McKenzie and Crowder.
Yeah, we're not going to disagree on that.
No, we're not going to disagree on that. Dawkins, Saffold, Morse, Bates, and Brown. I have no problem with that. Some people might want to put Quisenberry in for Bates. I don't see anything wrong with that. I would not argue if that was the course or direction they wanted to go in. However, due to I think it was the transition tag, was it on Bates? Did they transition tag him?
No, he was.
Or what happened? Chicago went out.
Free agent.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, restricted free agent. He was an
Okay,
RFA,
so
restricted free agent.
Chicago went to go offer him something. The Bills were like, "Yeah, we got that."
Right, and countered.
And then
Yep.
they took it. So Ryan Bates, who was acquired in a trade for Eli Harold, I believe, right?
That
was that
I
the
think
Eli
might be
Harold
right.
trade?
Yeah, I think that might be right.
Oh, being at it again. Okay, so then we also have Dawson Knox, Josh Allen, Devin Singletary, and you got Gilliam is listed as a fullback, but he's more of a tight end at this point.
Right.
My two that I would disagree with, I think I would put Crowder in for McKenzie, and I would put Cook in for Singletary.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it goes against every fiber of my being of what I've noticed about McDermott and his team. Starting a rookie in a certain spot where incumbents usually have the say.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
We saw it with Frank Gore. We saw it with Devin Singletary last year when Moss was trying to break into the lineup. Now, I just think James Cook is just way too explosive for you to say, let's see how he does. I think initially you want Singletary in there for pass pro, and I understand that 110%. But once and if Cook gets it, I don't think you see Singletary in there as much as Cook.
I mean, listen, when we had 10 games of Frank Gore being the workhorse back, and we kept screaming in Devin Singletary's rookie year, please God, get Devin Singletary more than 5 touches a game. Right.
Exactly.
Because that's it. He was doing a great job. His explosiveness was there. They were careful with him because of usage. Right. Devin Singletary had a ton of college usage. Cook, not as much as Singletary, but this team is very careful with its rookies. If they're not first round picks, right? If they're not first round picks, then they really see them as players that they want to take their time with. I think probably the first 4 or 5 games, it's going to be the Devin Singletary show. And I think once you hit week 9, Cook's going to have a stranglehold on that job.
He will.
Right? Like
I think so.
I just don't see it any other way.
I think it may happen
out of the
earlier,
gate,
though.
I think Singletary's your guy.
Okay. All right. I think it may happen earlier, though. I don't know if I think
I just go by history.
We can have a hashtag bet. We can have a hashtag bet. I think that Cook will be starting before Trey White comes back.
Oh, yeah. No, we're going to bet that. Yeah, let's bet that.
Let's bet that. That'd be a good bet. I like it. Does Zach Moss make this team?
In the comments section what you guys think the conditions of that bet should be.
Yes. I think that's now if Singletary gets injured, the bet's off.
Yeah, that's a push.
That's a move.
That's a push. Yeah.
Okay. Does Zach Moss make this team? Let me hit you with the right hook right away. Does Zach Moss make this team?
I don't think Moss is more of a candidate to be traded than he is to be cut. I'm sorry, waived. Excuse me. Waived. He would have to be waived at this point. So I do think he makes the team. I am hoping this is Taiwan Jones last year was his last season. It just kills me to give up that running back roster spot. Just like hurts my soul. And by bringing in Cook, I think you're probably saying goodbye to either Moss or Taiwan Jones. You got Duke Johnson, which was a great get at the time, right? Protected whether you were going to get James Cook in the draft, kind of protected that role. But James Cook is going to take that role away from Duke Johnson. I don't think there's any debate about that. And I'm hoping that Zach Moss can take that roster spot away from Taiwan Jones. But again, Zach Moss probably isn't going to be playing special teams.
No,
maybe he will, but very different body types between Taiwan Jones and Zach Moss.
Very, very true. Very true. Raise your hand if you've had Duke Johnson on your fantasy team more than once.
Yeah,
guilty.
Right,
guilty.
Yeah,
and he's like buried in the depth chart. It's
totally
crazy to me how
totally buried.
And it's like not a lot of the guys in the running back position actually pop off the page. You'd be like, oh yeah, there's your number one, and these guys might be able to fill in. It's not a Zeke Pollard type situation, but you're like, all these guys have similar skill sets, and some guys excel at certain things more than others, but it's not eye popping. I mean, you have to go into the season obviously with at least 2, maybe 3. 4 is a stretch. If you decide to go with Singletary, Cook, Moss, and Jones, that means another position group had a casualty. In that respect, and I don't know about that. Because we talked about the first 2 columns. Let's look at the second column. Jake Kumaro, we agree, I think, will make the team due to his special teams.
Right.
Shakir, I think, will make the team because you don't really a lot of times invest a draft pick in a guy just to waive them to make
I
them a
totally agree with
restricted
that.
free agent. And
Yep.
also, I think, but one guy you may do that would be with Luke Tenuta. I
Mhm.
think. I think he doesn't. I don't know why he's backing up Dawkins there. It's kind
I
of
mean, look at how many young tackles are on that team, right? You
exactly.
got Tenuta, Owen, and then Kurt Stetter on the backside. Like it's just crazy the volume of young tackles, and that worked out for Buffalo. Last year they
Mm-hmm.
went Brown and Doyle.
Mm-hmm.
That worked out for them.
They did. It did. And then who's the Jack Anderson was the guy that they ended up going to Philly. I think he ended up playing
Yeah,
in a playoff game.
yeah, that's right.
So they got an eye for some tackles. I think that's what some people are probably hoping for.
Well, I mean, when you're looking at how much you have to pay your quarterback and probably a middle linebacker and probably your, defensive tackle in Ed Oliver and what you're already paying Von Miller, you can't afford to be needing a tackle, right? So
Yes.
you keep putting coins in that machine and hoping to get something that's going to be able to start for you, right? Like
Keep
that.
extending Dawkins.
That's it. They're going to keep looking for tackles over and over and over again.
Oh yeah.
They're too expensive to have to go look for. So you just keep throwing assets at the tackle position, just as many as you can.
Now,
And Buffalo's certainly done that.
Now, Paul, do you put any stock in the fact of when they decide to get these guys? Because I think Mance, Quisenberry, and Van Rotten, they all were taken pretty early in the free
Yeah.
agent process.
Yep.
Do you put bigger stock in that rather than a guy that like Duke Johnson that gets picked up right before the draft? Do you put bigger stock in that, or do you say that they're going to get insurance policies whenever they can?
Yeah. I mean, Duke Johnson. I don't think Johnson was available till later in the process. If I'm remembering correctly, maybe I'm not.
Yeah, I have to think
I do think that veteran offensive linemen, when you have $250 million invested in your quarterback, become your priority, right?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't that make the most sense?
Yeah.
Like, the veteran offensive linemen are, because do you really want to turn to, oh my God, Alec Anderson? If you're in need of, some guard play and like, listen, Alec, you played guard when you were like 14. Can you slide back in there No, you don't want to do that. And Quisenberry is a solid player. Van Rotten, I'm not so hot on, but I like Quisenberry.
Yeah.
At a depth position, I don't know how much better you can really do at a depth position like that. But again, you're looking at another situation where Cody Ford is again on the bubble for this roster, and he's been on the bubble the last couple times. But changing offensive systems from a blocking perspective, Cody Ford could be a very valuable depth piece for you this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I look at it in this way, guy. Because I always think Bean likes his insurance policies in case things go wrong. And then what is your most valuable asset on this team? It's Josh Allen. So your second most valuable asset should be to protect Josh Allen. So if you're sitting there, if Morse happens to go down, I mean, you look at just this minor group right here. If you do not have any faith in Mance, you know what I mean? You could sit there and go, okay, Bates has played center. Let's move Bates to center. Let's slide Quisenberry in. If you do not want to do, one of those things you could do is you can also slide Cody Ford over there. You put him between Morse and Brown in a zone blocking scheme. He will have success in that. And you're bringing in Roger Saffold, who has played with Cromer, knows exactly what he wants done on that offensive line.
Right.
You put them two guys next to each other. Dawkins pretty much, he's like the Leotis McKelvin now of the offense, where he's been in like 3 different offenses now. So he can play wherever you want him to do. He can do whatever you want. But I like the versatility that they decided to get with that line. I think Van Rotten offers you some depth. Quisenberry be next man up. You got to have a backup center. Your backup center can't be your right guard. As much as they may want to just slide Bates over,
that's what they did with Feliciano, right? Like they played that game before.
I think they learned that is that we can't always have that.
Yeah.
If it comes to cutting a guy and doing this and that, we may have to do this. But I like the versatility they have with their front five, and maybe I think you're going to end up keeping 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 offensive linemen. And then, interesting enough, Ike Butker's third on the depth chart. This guy was starting for you.
I know.
He starts on the PUP list right now.
Injury is the big deal there, right? But
Oh,
again, there's
yeah.
another guy that, you may have to cut a player that you really want to keep in order to be able to put him on IR at the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah,
So you're probably going to have
exactly.
to cut a player you really want to keep or put a young player on waivers that you are hoping to get back. And you may lose to the waiver process. Geez, sorry, just whacking my microphone around. You may have to, that's the roster game that happens though, because I don't see a way that Bucker doesn't make the roster, but
Really?
he's not healthy, right?
No.
So you're going to have to put him on IR.
I'd
So
have to
you're
check
probably
and
going to
see.
cut one of those veteran guards in order to keep Bucker, IR him, and then sign one of those veteran guards back. I imagine Van Rotten's probably the least desirable of the group there. So it's probably going to be him.
I wonder how that works out if you start the season on the PUP list. If you can't start the season on IR, you have to make the team first, then be placed on IR.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So I want to see how that works out. That's interesting.
Yep. That's right.
So do the Bills go into the season with 3 quarterbacks?
No.
I just want to slide over that. No,
I don't think
Allen
so.
and Keenum.
I think they love Barkley, right? But
yeah,
Keenum's just a better quarterback. I mean, they're more likely to win games with Keenum than they are with Barkley.
Yeah, and as the old saying goes, you want to try to have a backup quarterback that can go 500 in case your starter goes down. That's what you want,
right.
And that's a heck of an insurance policy you have there.
That's right.
Talk about Case Keenum. I mean, getting out of Cleveland when you could.
Mm-hmm.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that's right. So I do want to point out, Dave Quisenberry, important stat, does have 1 reception for a touchdown. That's a thing in Buffalo. Just pointing it out.
I know you're going to bring that up.
Love big man touchdowns.
You do love
big
fat
man
man
touchdowns. He does have a touchdown reception to his name.
Of the second column, you're not keeping Mance or Tenuta. Right?
Correct.
So that's another 9. That's 20. Okay. Is my math correct? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, that's 20 guys. We have to pick 5 out of these last 2 columns over here, Paul.
Yep.
That's all we can do.
That's right. So Hodges, Stevenson, or Austin. I think they're done with Stevenson. I got to be honest with you.
Already after a year?
You have to light the world on fire to make this 53-man roster. They've already, they kept him on the roster once, and he returned punts in a dome, and then that was the end of his season, right?
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know how thrilled they are there. I think they'd rather keep Tavon Austin over Marquez Stevenson, to be perfectly frank. So between Hodges and Austin, I mean, they've kept Isaiah Hodges a long time, so maybe Hodges. I mean, if we're really splitting hairs,
I don't think they do. I think they. Now, if you get picked up, you still have less than 4 years service in the NFL. Do you get waived automatically again, even if you've already been on a practice squad? You got to get waived again.
Yeah, it's less than 4 years.
Okay, so Hodges no one has seen him. He's battled injury. Really, nobody except for last camp. No one really saw him. Right. He's a guy that I think will go on your practice squad. So I don't have him making the final. I have him making the practice squad again. Okay. So of those 3, I wouldn't take any of them.
Yeah, I know, right?
I wouldn't. But what are the other options we have here? Neil Paiu and Tanner Gentry?
Right, that's what I mean. You
have
to
take them.
You're picking one.
Yeah, this is why Isaiah McKenzie making the roster is so huge.
I know. I get it. Listen, I'm willing to bend the knee on this point, okay? I'll bend the knee.
No, but I'll say this. Can you say what you told me? And I know I hate it when you always hate it when I do this to you.
Yeah,
Neil Paiu.
Yeah.
Tell me remember you were talking to me about Neil Paiu, about something that stood out to you when he was in college. That it was either his receptions or he was a captain or something. What did you tell me that was a standout thing about him that made him so intriguing to the Bills?
That's gone.
Nothing. I'll just
That's gone.
It then. I'll delete that. I thought you said he had 95 catches or something, and the quarterback completed 112 passes or something like that. It was something stupid.
Oh yeah, his target share was massive. Like he was their entire offense. Yeah, that is true. He was their.
I
whole
thought that's what you
offense.
wanted to do.
Yeah. No, that was true. He was basically their entire offense. But the point there was that, when Buffalo was going out there getting those undrafted free agents, they're picking the best guys remaining from squads. So I know
Yes.
that's sort of a redundant point to make, but they're looking for the guys that were their team, right? They were a captain, or they were, they had the biggest target share for wide receivers, or they had the most passes broken up on at the cornerback position. If like these smaller schools where guys weren't drafted, like nobody on the team is drafted, they're going after that team's number one corner. That's what this team does, is they target players like that. I think a lot of teams in the NFL do, so it's probably not a groundbreaking point to make, but Payu was their whole offense.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me on that. That's exactly what it was.
Hey, I got to do it. It's okay. So of the 5 that I think I need to pick, I'm probably going to go against what I talked about earlier, but I think Moss has to make it. I think you got to be 3 deep.
Yeah.
I think you get Moss, you get Butker, you get Van Rotten.
So I think they cut Van Rotten to keep Butker because they'll just re-sign Van Rotten.
That makes sense. I mean, I'm just saying straight up the 5 you want to keep, because you don't want to try to mess around with that, because you don't know who he's talking to. I'm not keeping Bobby Hart. That's why I'm keeping both of them.
That's fine. All right. So where are we with the roster then?
Okay, I gotta change it now, because 1, you made me laugh. 2, I didn't know. Okay, I'm gonna keep Sweeney, keep Van Rotten, Butker. I'm gonna keep Stevenson and Moss.
Okay.
I'm just to make it simple.
I think that's
fair.
What
I mean?
I don't think that's wrong. I disagree with you on Van Rotten, right?
Okay.
Because, I just, if they lose him, they lose him. I don't think that's.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna care.
That's what I mean. They're gonna push Butker anyway to the IR, and then, they'll re-sign somebody. So I don't think Van Rotten is somebody that they're really worried about there, especially when they cut him and they say, listen, don't go anywhere for 24 hours. Like that's the way these conversations go, is listen, don't go anywhere for 24 hours. We gotta do some roster stuff. This is what that roster stuff is. We're gonna have to cut you, but don't go anywhere for 24 hours unless you want to go somewhere. And if the player goes, I don't want to go anywhere, you're like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. Right? Like that's the way those conversations go.
Yeah.
So,
and one of the things that we do have to be conscious of as Buffalo Bills fans is the fact that all eyes are on your team now. It's not like you can cut a guy and slip a guy through waiver process and all that stuff. All eyes are on Buffalo now. If with the history that Brandon Beane has had with drafting and acquiring talent, if he lets a guy go, they're going to be like, well, that team is stacked. He may be able to help our team. Let's try to take a flyer on this guy and see what happens. So be very mindful of that. If there are a few players that happen to leave Buffalo and end up going to a place and end up doing well, okay, that happens.
Watch this, Mar. They're going to cut Van Rotten to keep Butker, to put him on IR. And with that spot, right, they're also going to keep Taiwan Jones. Just watch it happen.
Oh, you didn't.
Just watch it happen. They're going to cut Van Rotten. They're going to have Butker. They're going to put him on the IR to bring Van Rotten back. But when they cut Van Rotten, they're going to keep Taiwan Jones. I'm tired. I just feel it in my bones.
Is it that big of a deal, though? You just don't like it. I know you just don't like it.
I feel it in my bones.
I just want to be safe to say, on Paul's 53, Isaiah McKenzie's there. Just want to let everybody know that.
Well, now
got him.
Gun to my head. I know. Listen, how many mock drafts does Mel Kiper come out with, and changes his mind?
I know, but the fact that I gave you Tanner Gentry or Neil Payu over McKenzie, and you go, all right, fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the final straw. Tanner Gentry did it to you.
Yeah, that's it. That was Tanner Gentry. Thanks a lot,
guys.
Wyoming.